We're starting off with a high-speed car chase. Sirens are blaring in the background. A woman is in the back seat cuddling a little girl, and the man is feverishly driving down this long road what looks to be a rural town. Tensions are high in this car. She nervously peeks out the back window as the tires to the car skirt side to side across the pavement. She peeks out the window again. He peeks out the rearview mirror. We don't see who's giving them chase, but what we do know, there's multiple sirens coming in their eardrums. And as the road hits a downward slope, he loses control of the car. Okay, they slam right into a dirt embankment, and we get to see the license plates of the car. They're from Massachusetts. We don't know if they're still in that state, but it looks like they were a little bit confused and a little bit lost. And that may simply just be because of the chase. You know, they may be in Massachusetts for sure, but again, maybe not. But we do know they are not in Kansas anymore. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Twisted Life of TV. I am Poetry, and I am bringing to you season 1 of The Handmaid's Tale. If you've been around this channel before, you know I have already reviewed seasons 2 through 5, but I never did season 1. I only did a summary. So I'm going back and doing The Handmaid's Tale season 1, episode by episode. We're watching it for the first time and recapping it for the first time again. Okay, a lot of people that may be watching this video have not seen it, so I'm going to ask my viewers to please not put spoilers down in the comment section if you have seen future episodes, and I would try to keep spoilers to a minimum as I review these episodes. I'm going to be treating this as if I had never seen it before for the most part. Okay, so if you all know, I have an emoji vault. The emoji vault is where we give out free little gifts, free little emoticons for you answering little trivia questions throughout the doggone episode. Now, the first one I said is they're not in Kansas anymore. I need you guys to tell me from the movie The Wizard of Oz or The Wiz, whichever one, what character actually made the statement that they are not in Kansas anymore. Leave that down in the comment section, and you're about to win a prize from the emoji vault. I'll tell you what that prize is once I get to the second trivia question. All right, so let's get back to the episode. Well, our little group, they're in a jam, and they can't get the car moving, right? The sounds of the sirens is getting closer and closer to them, and they need to get gone. Baby girl, she hurt her head a little bit when the car went off the road, but they're going to have to deal with that later because she's not bleeding and she ain't broken, okay? We know that they are a family. The dad says, take baby girl and run, okay? They only got 2 miles left to go to get where they need to be, but that's kind of far for a child that age. She looks to be about 3 or 4 years old, and by being 3 or 4 years old, she's still a little bit too big to be trying to carry that doggone Ford too, especially since they running. Hold on, something just happened on my computer. Okay. He says, y'all go in here without me. Y'all go, I'll be right behind you. That's always a bad move in TV. It's always a bad move in these films, you know, but it may help him buy some time for the mother and the baby to get away. Now, while they are running through the woods, we hear gunshots ring out. Bang, bang. Then a brief moment of silence. And then another bang. Okay? All I keep thinking is run, girl. Run. Do not look back. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Just fucking run, right? If not for you, for your damn child. We don't know what that was. We don't know who they are. What I do know is we don't want them to find you. That's all I do know, right? So don't wait on him. We start to hear voices that are getting closest. And I got my subtitles on because that's how I do. So I know that it was a couple of guardians and they were looking for her. She picked up that baby girl and booked it. I mean, she ran. She found this little ridge and decided to hide there, hoping that baby girl was going to keep quiet. The guardians, who are armed with assault rifles, they walk right on top of that ridge, but they don't see her. At least that's what they said. And the music is so sinister at this point. You know it's not over. You know danger's still lurking. It was like dun 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 dun. And if y'all have ever been here for any of my Handmaid's Tale reviews, y'all know that I like to say that the music in this show is a character on its own. It speaks emotion into every scene. And I've seen this episode before. I've watched this before. I was still on the edge of my couch, my heart racing, chewing the hell out of my damn popcorn like I ain't never know what was next. Okay, that's how the music moves you when you're watching these episodes. If you've never watched the show before, I implore you to go to Hulu and watch The Handmaid's Tale. If you're into politics and you've never seen this show before, watch The Handmaid's Tale. There's so many parallels to what's going on in our world today that you will see throughout this show, and it'll help you get your mind a little bit open to things that could possibly happen and things that we could possibly do as well to make sure they don't. Okay, she starts to run again when she think they in the clear. Baby girl is like, mommy, they coming, right? Next thing we know, she is being tugged down by her hair to the ground. I thought she slipped the first time that I saw this, but no, when she met the ground, what she didn't do is let go of that damn child. She didn't let go of that baby. They literally had to pry her out of her mama's arms. We now know that this little girl's name is Hannah. She fought back though, the mama. She fought back, she kicked, she screamed, she pleaded, and she was met with blows to the back of her head, knocking her unconscious on top of a bed of dead leaves just to be dragged away and thrown into the back of a red van. Okay. Now, you know, the more and more that I think about this red van in this show and all this red, and we're going to see a whole lot of it throughout these seasons, it makes me think so much of MAGA. It really does. I wonder what the color of the vans are going to be when they start rounding up immigrants to deport them, when they start snatching kids out of their parents' arms again, you know. And if we as citizens of democracy are going to sit back and idly watch it happen. That's the biggest problem that I think I have as a black woman in putting down my cape for good, which we haven't been saying that. You know, most of the people that I see that said they're putting down their cape, they said they're taking a rest. They resting right now. It's not that they never gonna pick it back up. They resting right now, okay? But I'm not the type of person to let injustice happen so easily right in front of my eyes, right? So I wrestle with the idea of being complacent and keeping that cape off. I find myself still wanting to get into disagreements and arguments and defend people online, and I'm like, nope, take your cape off, sis. Put it down and rest. Right now, I'm still angry. I'm still angry. I don't know when the anger will die down, but I think about that a lot. Like, I don't want to live under that kind of government, no matter who was at fault. And if I sit down completely and don't do anything at all, never again, then I am going to be just as complicit in the downfall of my democracy and the downfall of my freedom as they were when they voted that motherfucker in office. Okay. Anyway, we now sit in this dark, dusty room. It's the mama. She's sitting there dressed like a 17th century Puritan with her little house on the prairie bonnet on, right? And she knows every inch of that room, every bit of furniture, every crack in the wall, and most of all that the windows are shatterproof. But physical escaping isn't her captive's concern, because they said the handmaid's not going to get that far anyway. And that's what I think she is at this particular point. But the mental escape that the handmaids can have, that's what concerns them. The suicides. Because without them, who's going to do their bidding, right? She tries not to indulge in those thoughts, though, especially on those ceremony days. She tries not to even think on ceremony days. And we now know that her name is Offred. We learn her name is Offred, but they call her Offred. Like, they kind of just run it together. So she's going to be called Offred for now, okay? If she goes by any other name, it's totally forbidden. The same thing that they did to Africans that they enslaved here on these lands, right? They stripped our ancestors of their name, their culture, their rights, their freedom, and even their voice. If you've ever seen the movie Roots, think about what they did to Kunta Kinte. They named him Toby. Okay? He was no longer Kunta. He says, my name is Kunta. And they say, your name is Toby boy. That's exactly what they have done to her. She doesn't even, she can't even use her real name. It's forbidden for her to. She's now an Offred. They not only enslaved their bodies, but they tried to enslave their minds. And here we are in 2024, and there's a group of people, half of this country, that has just helped someone that wants to enslave us again on an even larger scale. They just elected this person into office, which I don't think he's elected for real, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, we get to meet Serena Joy. She's acclimating Offred into her new space. She's getting a tea on what happened at the old one, right? You can already tell that this bitch is a bitch. You can already tell. She told her to sit there, but not make a habit of sitting down because she doesn't extend that courtesy normally. This is Offred's second posting, and also Serena Joy's second handmaid. Offred's last master didn't work out, okay? And neither did Serena's slave. So Offred, she ain't gotta be broken in. That's what Serena Joy thinks, because she's done this before. She's been there and done that. At this point, we do not know how long she's actually been in captivity, but it's clear that she has already submitted to their ways. Serena Joy's husband, his name is Commander Fred Waterford, and he comes in, and Offred is immediately to her feet and greeting him with religious prose. This is what the new coming administration today is hoping for America. That's why they're trying to make us this white conservative Christian country instead of recognizing all the different religions and people that are within it. They want us to submit to this religious doctrine that they don't even fucking follow themselves. Okay, so now it's 2 months later since she's arrived at the Waterford's home, and we get introduced to a few other people. We get introduced to the Martha of the house. The Martha is basically their maid, cooks all their food, plans their meals, they're saying, probably treats their wounds, it's the shit, wash their ass and shit like that. Her name is Rita. Rita doesn't seem like her and Offred have connected at this point. She actually seems annoyed by her presence. Then we also meet Offglen. Offglen is Offred's partner. They have to walk in twos when they go anywhere. Okay? And Offred thinks that Offglen is a little bit pious. She thinks she's a little prissy bitch because she won't speak to her. She says she's been there 2 months and this girl's only said about 50 words to her. And I'm like, sis, this ain't no fa-la-la moment. This is not a fa-la-la moment, okay? We ain't here to make friends in this situation. What the fuck we gonna talk about it unless it's us getting free? That's the only thing we need to fucking talk about for real. And then there's Nick. We get to meet him. He's the commander's driver, who is low ranking at this point, okay? When she said that he was low ranking, that told me already that he's here of his own free will. Because anybody that's not of this society does not have rank. But in her way, she knows that he's low ranking as well because he hasn't been issued a woman yet, like their property. Our body, their choice, huh? Sound familiar? Okay, well, Nick at this particular time seems innocent enough. At least he does speak to her and try to hold a conversation like a normal person. But Nick may be an eye. That's another faction of this crazy place that we haven't yet to learn about. To me, they sound like spies. Especially since one of their quotes that they say to each other is under his eye. Somebody's always watching, like Big Brother, all the cameras and shit. Anyway, hell, she think that Offred is one of the spies. And she's also one of Offred's. They're supposed to tell on each other if something goes down. Offred sure makes it seem like she's under his eye. She seems to be praising the rebels, losing the war. I myself is just happy that there are rebels that exist. And that everybody has not simply bowed down to this and accepted this way of life. Offred then notices a group of young girls, little children, being led out of this school building. And, without a doubt, she's wondering if her little girl is in that line. And if it's not one of them, where is her daughter? That's the main question here. So they go and head off to the market. And this store is unbelievable. There are no words. And I don't mean that figuratively speaking. Literally speaking, the food only has pictures on it. Okay, just like a McDonald's cash register right now. That's all they got is pictures that they push. That, like, motherfuckers can't read and shit. But this indicates that they aren't allowed to read. They ran into two other handmaids, one of Eric, and I can't remember the other one's name. And she mentions seeing Commander Waterford's name in the news. She immediately insists that she didn't read it though. Okay, because everybody got real quiet. But then they pretend like she never said it. Okay. Whew. No, crisis averted. On their walk home, the air is thick with flies. Smells of death. Dead bodies are all hanging along the Riverwalk wall, all on display like it's a work of art. It's a priest, a doctor, a gay man, all of which who are currently being targeted by Project 2025 and Agenda 47. Okay? You better read it. You better read it. RFK Jr., Aunt Lydia, is another character that was introduced. She's currently indoctrinating the girls by showing them footage of the good old days, or the bad old days, as she like to say it. Starting with the old government was poisoning the air with pollution and radiation and things like that. So in her resolution, God plagued the whole city with infertility. They plagued the world with infertility, which made the situation in her eyes worse. Women out here being allowed to practice reproductive freedom, take care of their reproductive health, using things like birth control, Plan B pills, or having abortions. She considered them dirty, slutty women. And these dirty, slutty women were abusing these things in order to have orgies and be out on Tinder. I thought Tinder was for the gays. I thought it was for gay men. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, anywho, I was surprised that she didn't throw in porn. Because Project 2025 and Agenda 47 sure did. It's against their conservative Christian nation that they want to force us to live under. But Trump and Gates and Hegseth, and probably many more, commit perversions of their own that go unchecked by law. Now, while she was giving this lesson, Offred was brought in to the classroom. She's not Offred at this particular point. And she noticed this black girl named Moira. Moira is her black lesbian best friend, a friend that she met in college. And she's already sitting there in her Puritan red, which means she's already been a victim of this system, and she doesn't know for how long. Offred came in and sat down next to a new character named Janine. And Janine was not having any of this bullshit that they were serving. None of it. And here is when we find out the handmaid's purpose. It's to bear children for the barren wives of the commanders. Okay, they're basically being forced into sexual slavery and forced to have children for these people. They are vessels. That's all they are to these people. Aunt Lydia tells them that this may not be something that they are used to now, because they're only used to the ordinary. But this too shall become their ordinary. Aunt Lydia is like, y'all so lucky. Y'all so privileged. And Janine is like, the fuck? Welcome to the loony bin. You know what I'm saying? And you had to be crazy to sit there and believe it or even accept it as your truth. Janine was like, fuck you. And Aunt Lydia said, okay. And she stuck this rod right into her damn neck, similar to a cradle prod. It gives off an electric shock. She shaking and fisting and get all down on the floor, and they dragged her ass out the room, kicking and screaming bloody hell. Okay. That night, Offred had a chance to talk to Moira and explain how she ended up there. Moira's friend Odette was reclassified as an unwoman because she is a known lesbian. Moira promised her friend that when all this died down, like it was just gonna go the fuck away one day, that they would finally get Hannah back, and she's gonna help her. She's gonna be by her side to help her do this. Now, speaking of back, Janine returns. It's the middle of the night. She's no longer kicking and screaming, but crying in pain because they poked out one of her eyes. Okay? Well, back at the wall, the only silver lining that Offred saw at that moment was Moira wasn't hanging up on that wall. But for now, Offred must return because today is ceremony day. She has to go bathe and scrub herself clean, get the filth all off of her. As she's entering the tub, we notice that she's been tagged. If she runs, I'm assuming this is how they identify who she belongs to. Unlike slave badges that they had back in our time, slave badges were sewn into their clothing so it could be identified. And this is a way for them to identify the house Negroes from the field Negroes as well. Okay, well, this tag was clipped and pierced into her ear, right in this part, in the meaty part up there, right? Just like they do livestock. You see livestock with the tags, and that's just like they do livestock. So in the bath, she says she always thinks of Hannah. Hannah always comes to her. The vision comes to her, and she's wondering if her daughter is thinking of her too. She's wondering if her daughter even remembers her anymore. You know, in times like this. She also prays that Hannah will remember her, okay? But in times like this, I have to wonder if God is even listening, okay? Because this suffering cannot be the will of God. I just can't believe that, right? And me and her are both like, what the fuck did we do to deserve this? Because it makes sense to me. Well, in Janine's case, Lydia says that the rape that she endured, by several boys was her fault, that she led them on. And God allowed it to happen to teach her a lesson. Now, I was riding with my coworker the other day. I told y'all that my car broke down, right? So my coworker had to come pick me up and take me to work. And we just happened to be talking about the current administration and the struggles that we've gone through as people, and looking back at history and all the struggles that we've gone through, and how black people have been oppressed in more ways than one over and over again, right? And I'm like, I can't believe that's the will of God for us to continuously struggle. And she said that we are suffering like this because we're being taught to serve God. We need to be faithful to Him. So all these perverted, misogynist, racist, rapist, bigots that are out here, with that logic, they're doing the Lord's work. Because they're not made to suffer in the manner in which we have been made to suffer, right? So I can't believe that logic. If that's the case, then I don't wish to serve that God at all. I almost punched her ass through the window of her damn car. But I digressed. Because I could clearly see during this conversation that she was even trying to convince herself, to make herself in that moment believe that was true. Anyway, it's time for us to do this fucking ceremony, right? The entire house is there. Nick, Rita, Serena Joy, command to come in late, right? First, they must pray. She lies down between the legs of the mistress, and Serena Joy holds her arms down. Don't move. Don't make a sound. Just lie there and take the pounding of her flesh. Endure the rape and let him spill his funky spunk into her womb like it's ordinary. Okay? But nothing is ordinary about this shit. Ain't nothing ordinary about this. Offred afterwards starts to lose her cool. She runs out in the middle of the night because the air is thick in her and it's getting hard for her to breathe. But she runs right into Nick. Now, she goes back inside and she has a little panic attack. But then she flashes back and remembers a time at the Red Center where Jadine seemed to be going off the rails herself. Moira had to come and slap her into reality. Okay. She told her she didn't straighten up and fly right, that she would end up in the colonies, hauling toxic waste, her skin peeling away from her bones until she dies. All right. So she needs to get her shit together and get it together now. And to her surprise, Nick didn't turn her in for being outside, which means she has at least avoided the colonies at this particular point. So today, there's a salvaging, right? All the handmaids, they seem to be called to this park. She sees Alma for the first time since the Red Center. Her name is now Avelis. Nobody has seen Moira though. Janine turns and says, "Oh, she dead," with glee in her voice, right? And at first I wasn't sure why she was so happy. I wasn't sure if she fell victim to this mindset, this way of life, or is she happy because she's free? Okay? Because I mean, to some, they said that death was better than slavery. That's why so many of our ancestors jumped off the ships. Okay? If the slave narratives are true, this is why they jumped into the water to save themselves from being a slave. Okay? There's a song, and it says, and before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. You know, that song. Can any of y'all guess what the name of that spiritual song is? Where does that lyric come from? If you can guess the name of that song that has the lyric, and before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave, or you can guess who was the character that said the line that they're not in Kansas anymore in The Wizard of Oz or The Wiz, then you're going to get a prize. I'm going to reach into my emoji vault, and what I'm going to give y'all is the scales of justice. Bright, shiny, and new. It is an iconic symbol of human rights, liberty, and justice for all. And it's worth more than diamonds and pearls. It's worth the fight of freedom. That's what this is a symbol of. So that's what you get if you can answer one of those two questions. That's our first prize from the emoji vault this particular season. Anywho, Janine is belly full with baby, and she says that Moira tried to run. She got caught and got sent to the colonies. So she got to be dead by now. Okay. Offred is lost for words. She's full of emotion. She's full of rage, and it's swelling up and falling from her eyes in the form of one single tear. They were there today to condemn a man who was convicted of rape. The rape that they endure every single ceremony, but is sanctioned in this world. She has to sit there and listen to Aunt Lydia, who removed Janine's eye, tell them how it's her duty to protect them, as she always has. Aunt Lydia said this man raped a handmaid who was pregnant, and the baby died. The handmaids gasp in utter shock, in disgust, and I'm screaming, why the fuck do y'all believe her? Why do y'all believe her? How can you believe that anything that she says is true? But they have been manipulated so much, they have been mind fucked so bad that what she's saying has to be true. And even if they didn't believe that it was true, they must act as if they do. Offred was the first to kick the man. The ladies beat him and ripped his ass to shreds. And I had totally forgot about how graphic this scene was. Especially considering some of the later seasons. I don't want to spoil it for those who are watching this for the first time, so I'm not going to speak on what I'm talking about. But yeah, there was a callback to this scene in later seasons. Janine, she's standing there because she pregnant. She looks, she about to drop any day, and she's dancing in the sunlight at his downfall, just basking in the glory of his downfall. And I'm thinking, all this rage you ladies have, y'all could have been fucked these aunties up. Y'all could have been fucked them up. Y'all killing this man out here with y'all feet and bare hands. Surely y'all could have handled some old biddies, but that's just me. That's just me. Okay, so after the salvaging off Glenn and Offred have to walk back home, and this is the first time that they have a real conversation, because she could see that Offred is very distraught by the thought of losing her friend Moira. So she extends condolences to her. Offred again thought that she was going to always be there for her. Thought that Moira was going to be the one who helped her find her daughter. Now it seems that all hope is gone. Okay. Moira is basically the 92% at this particular point to me. You know, she's basically 92. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Well, she ain't choose to take off her cape. Yeah. I'm not going. Yeah. Okay, so anywho, she asked her, they both thought, they stopped in front of this little ice cream shop and Glenn started talking about sex and how the ice cream, caramel salted praline ice cream was better than sex. Now, I love me some caramel salted ice cream, some caramel salted pralines, but it ain't better than sex to me though. But she thinks it's better than sex, right? And they both thought that each other had bought into this way of life, had bought into this future that they have, and they both, each other were both true believers. Turns out neither one of them are. Glenn took this time to ask her about her daughter, Hannah, who is now 8 years old, which means that Offred has been there in this environment, in captivity, for at least 4 years right now. Because Hannah Banana was 4 when she was taken. Of Glenn, she had a wife and she had a son, a newborn. And her son will be about 5 now. Luckily, they had Canadian passports. So before Glenn leaves her at her keep, she tells her that there is an eye inside of your house. Be careful. Okay? The only person I could think of was Nick. Well, when she goes into the house is full of people. And Offred was looking at everybody, wondering if any one of them could be the eye, including Rita. But something was happening, though. She followed the Marthas to go see what the deal was, and the commander seemed to be holding a meeting that Serena Joy seems to be upset that she's excluded from. Now, so Serena Joy caught her watching her, and she kicked her out and sent her back to her room. And when she went back to that room, we go back to that windowsill where she's sitting there, and she said she knows somebody is watching, you know. So it seems like she's now going to start paying attention to what's happening around her, and make sure that nothing is out of place. It's one chair, one couch, one bed. Remember all the things that she was listing at the beginning of the episode. Nothing can change. Nothing can move. But she has to get her shit together to survive. She has to survive in order to get her daughter back. Her name is Hannah. Her husband's name is Luke. And Offred, her name is June. This is the end of episode 1, y'all. This is The Handmaid's Tale season 1. We're going to recap and watch this recaps for the first time. Thank y'all for coming back. Thank y'all for watching this channel. I appreciate you being here. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button if you like the video. If you want to donate to the channel, go ahead and hit that thanks button. I appreciate everything. See you in the next video. Peace.